All right, today I'm going to answer probably my most asked question by far, and that is, how do I make sure I get my party rental equipment back? And what do I do in the event that I don't? How do I not lose money weekly renting items out of my house? Hi, I'm Emily. I own a handful of side hustles, and on TikTok, I just try and show you the behind the scenes of the businesses I run out of my house and how I make extra money for my family every week. So follow along if you are looking to do something like that yourself. Okay, so probably the most asked question, how do you make sure things get returned? I have a lot of new followers, so about once a month, I try and answer this question again. So we'll do that today. Okay, I always make sure I have 3 things done to make sure I get my items back and that I am covered in the event that I don't. First thing is a security deposit. I charge everybody a security deposit, has to be paid on a major credit card. That way I'm making sure that the credit card has funds and that card is stored. Now, the security deposit is usually only about 10% of the replacement cost of the items. So for example, our Nerf Force package that is very popular costs me between about $300 and $350 for equipment for that package, depending on what kind of deals I got at that time. My security deposit is $35. That's 10% of the replacement value. So obviously, no, if they ghost me and do not bring the equipment back, that security deposit is not covering the replacement cost of those items. What I charge a security deposit for is basically for 2 things. First of all, it's a little extra skin in the game for the customer. It incentivizes them to take a little bit better care of the items and to ensure that they're going down the checklist and returning everything in the package that they rented. The second thing is, and the main reason I charge a security deposit is that it covers small damage. So with our Nerf Wars package, it is not uncommon for people to return it missing 50 to 75 of the Nerf darts. They can be hard to find. I totally get it. That happens, but you are going to pay to replace those. I charge 10 cents a dart. So if 50 darts are missing, that's $5. It's so much easier to have that security deposit and just keep the $5 out of there and return the extra 30 than to try to go in and charge their card again. So that's the 2 main reasons I keep a security deposit, is for those little incidental charges and just kind of extra skin in the game for the customer. Okay, the second thing you want to do to protect yourself is to make sure that credit card is stored on file. So I use Stripe as a credit card processing company. Being able to store these on file is going to depend on who you use and what sort of program you have with them. So that's important to look into. But with Stripe, after the first 30 days of being a customer, I believe you are allowed to go back in and charge that card on file if you need to. I've been told that the first 30 days you're not allowed. I've been on there about 3.5 years, so it's been a while since I was new. So you need to do that due diligence yourself, but having that card on file allows you to go back in and charge it if they don't return items, which leads me to my third most important thing, which is the rental contract, which with a rental is probably the number 1 important thing I recommend to everybody, is having a rental contract, because that sets the parameters for everything. That protects you, is a layer of protection with liability, with when items need to be returned. There's no fighting over if people are late and you want to charge a late fee. Everything is laid out in the contract and you have to follow that and the customer has to follow that. Those are clear set guidelines. And if they don't, then everybody knows what the recourse is. So I always recommend your rental contract. Within that rental contract, it stipulates if items are damaged and the security deposit does not cover the damages, then I can go in and charge your card that's on file for those damages. Or if you just don't show back up with my equipment, I can go in and charge your card for the full replacement costs. So I personally think a rental contract is very important. My rental contract is available at the link in my bio. You can look at it for reference if you want to build your own, or it's a template. You can just use it yourself if you're like me and you like an easier way than doing all of the work yourself. Okay, now none of this is foolproof. People ask me all the time, how many times have I been ripped off? We are at 11 months. And it almost happened a couple of weeks ago. I did a video about this where someone didn't bring anything back for days. I couldn't get a hold of them. And I thought on Stripe I had disabled Apple Pay. And in one spot I had not. And they were able to pay with Apple Pay. And you cannot go in and recharge a customer through Apple Pay without their permission. So nothing is foolproof. You need to be prepared that there are ways for people there's always gonna be probably a way that they can go in and try and rip you off. But doing these 3 things weeds out usually the people that are out to try and rip you off. I've had several people that once they find out they have to pay a security deposit and sign a rental contract, do not ever get back to me. And I am fine with that because I think it's weeding out the people that have those intentions of maybe trying to rip you off. They'll just go to somebody else on Marketplace that doesn't have those policies and procedures, and that is fine with me. I'm not dealing with that. So in 11 months, I have never had anybody just not bring something back. And I have gone in and charged cards for damage and never had issues. So these are the things that you can do to protect yourself, but you do need to be aware that in this business, there's always a certain amount of risk, and you either need to be okay taking a little bit of risk, or if you're not, this may not be the business for you. All right, ask me any questions you've got.